Hey guys, welcome to Jack's Treasure's new podcast called What? Not Another Reselling Podcast. This is episode number 2, and today we have with us a very, very special guest. We have Cory from Grams and Pops Vintage.
Hey everybody. Thanks for having me on, Brian.
Oh, any time at all. It's
And
going to be
Tracy.
yes. Yes, Tracy's definitely a part of the podcast. She's actually the big part. She helps me focus on everything that I need to do. So, Cory, tell us a little bit about yourself.
There's not a lot to tell. I'm Pops from Grams and Pops Vintage, if you didn't guess that part already.
Mhm.
Grams is in the living room waiting for me to finish recording, and we sell on eBay. We've been doing it for we're coming up on 4 years, I think. So wow, we're not new anymore, but compared to most eBay sellers, we are new, I guess. And we started a YouTube channel about the same time we started, with the idea that we'd make half our money from YouTube, half our money from reselling. And it took us about 6 months before we realized that was ludicrous. And so we scaled up on reselling, and that's where we make our living now.
Yeah, with our YouTube, we've been doing YouTube for what, about 5-6 years?
Yeah, since COVID.
It's a grind.
It is definitely a grind, and we are in the middle of that grind now with how many shows that we're doing on top of doing this new podcast, which of course the focus of our new podcast is live selling. And one of the reasons why we wanted to bring Cory onto the show is I talk to Cory a lot. We talk a lot, and he wasn't 100% on board, and I don't think he still is 100% board on the live selling platform. And we're going to get into this a little bit later about something that they're really super excited about with it. But when you guys, I know that with you and Teresa, there's a story about how you started to reselling. What was that moment where you said, "Oh, this is a gig I can do"? Was there an item that you sold, or did something happen? I know that in your podcast of Unemployed for a Living, that you talk a lot about side hustles and how that happened. And I know in the case of Ken, SSK Promo, your co-host over there, that his was he became what am I thinking? Unexpectedly, yes.
Why can't I say it now?
Yeah, believe me, I have that. I mean, I run a lot of Whatnot shows, and the same thing happens. Yes, that he became unemployed. What happened with you guys that it's just was it COVID or was it something different?
No, we were expectedly unemployed. So we ran. Teresa likes to call me a serial entrepreneur because I love growing businesses. I'm not a huge fan of starting businesses. I don't like that part because that part is the same for every business. It's just the grind to get through to get the business going. But I love growing businesses. So I've built and grown a lot of businesses over time. We've even bought businesses and sold businesses. Before we got into reselling, we ran a pretty large e-commerce store. We were doing right around $2.5 million a year in sales on that store.
Wow.
And they had a big tax law come out that was South Dakota versus Wayfair. You remember Wayfair? They're still around.
Yes.
South Dakota sued Wayfair and said, if you're going to sell into the state of South Dakota, even though you don't have Nexus here, you have to pay state sales tax here, which in turn, as soon as they won that case, it kind of happened nationwide where every state sued for the same privilege to where you have to pay once you meet a certain financial nexus worth of sales in a state, you then forever have to pay sales tax there on every sale. And we had met that nexus we were right on the line of hitting that nexus and over the line on some where we would have to pay sales tax in a dozen states. For a small e-commerce company. At the time, there wasn't software to handle that. It was all brand new, which meant we would have to hire an accountant in 12 states as a small business. And that wasn't going to work for us. So we sold the business. And when we sold it for a good amount. It gave us 2 years of income just to sit back and figure out what we wanted to do.
Right.
And I knew, at that time, some of the money we were going to invest into our local area and build a business locally. And we did that partially because Teresa, my other half, Graham, she's a social butterfly. She wants to see people.
Right.
And I'm a hermit. I don't like seeing people. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. So we built an escape room and axe throwing business, which is kind of Teresa's outlet for seeing people and getting that kind of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But that's never going to be a business that supports us financially with our current bills.
Right.
So we gave ourselves that 2 years to figure out the next step. And it was really just a dive into what business is Cory going to start next out of the 100 million things that we could do.
Right.
And
right.
we decided to try selling on eBay after watching a bunch of YouTube videos. And so we just dumped in with both feet. I actually sold an old car I had laying around, like an old hot rod project. I had a 71 Charger. So we sold that, and we took
on eBay?
$1,000. Nope, we sold it locally on
Oh, okay,
Marketplace.
okay.
And we took that $1,000 off of that sale, and we said, this is going to start our eBay business. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it was a great experiment. We'll move on to the next thing. And within 90 days, we were making very close to a livable wage off of eBay.
Right.
Like, we
right,
went in
right.
big from the start. So it was kind of that progression of events that led us to eBay and YouTube together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we way surpassed our goals on eBay. We failed completely and utterly on YouTube. So we just decided to scale the eBay side, and we've done that. It's doing very well now.
I wouldn't say that you failed epically on the YouTube part.
Well, in terms of our monetization goal for YouTube,
Okay, yeah, I got that.
We're like, because we had from the start, we said within the first year we want YouTube pushing $5,000 a month back into our bank.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And that it's just not realistic for our channel. One, we have the personalities of a stump. Like, we're not super entertaining.
Okay, that is definitely not true. I have literally seen your videos and been watching your videos and just absolutely dying watching you and
well,
Teresa.
people just like watching Teresa beat up on me.
Oh, believe me, she beats up on me, and we haven't met. And she told Tracy to hit me on the last Whatnot show. It was amazing. And
Yep.
Ken decides that we were going to meet Chris at Peaches to Beaches, and tells him to punch me in the stomach. Yeah, Cajun Reseller. So he drove over from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all the way over to Georgia, which was like 8 hours for him. And the funny thing is for us, it was like 6 hours too, because
if we were in that distance.
Part.
I mean, if we could shoot over 8 hours to Beaches, we'd 100% been there.
Yeah, it was
for
fun.
us. We need 4 vehicles, a bus, and a horse to get anywhere around here. Like, everything's so far away.
Yeah, I can believe that. Well, you're in South Dakota, correct?
Yep, Eastern South Dakota. We drive an hour one way to go source anywhere once a week on Thursday.
Wow.
That's our sourcing. That's all we do is one day a week. I mean, if there's a special buy we can go to, we'll go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But our normal sourcing schedule is once a week on a Thursday. We go an hour south of us to Sioux Falls, and we source there all day, and then we come back home. And that's all we source.
Now, when you say that's all that you source, when I watch your videos, I hear that Teresa sources on proxy auctions.
We've had to. That's a recent thing. We've actually had to, because the last 2 years, we source all summer long, and we pack rat away a whole building full of stuff. So it gets us through the winter.
Mm.
And this year we did the same thing, but our sales picked up so much, it didn't get us through the winter. So we ran out of stuff.
Yeah, I heard that. I remember seeing that's a good problem to have.
So we've had to get creative. Now, I will say, when you're sourcing on that, our margins have gone down on some stuff because you're not getting those garage sale fines. Right. But we're able to get enough to keep our goal, which is $500 worth of listings every day.
Wow.
So we're able to still keep enough coming in to meet that goal. It's just our margins are a little bit smaller on it now. But spring is here. I mean, we're right there.
Yeah, definitely. The yard sales have started to pick up around here. Yeah, Tracy and I love doing the yard sales. Tracy especially. She's definitely the better picker than I am, because
Teresa's really good too.
Yeah,
it drives me crazy.
Yeah, me too, because I'm the impulse buy. I'm that shiny thing. I'm like squirrel. Oh, like it. Okay. Oh, it's shiny. It plugs into something. Let me go ahead and get that.
Well, I have when I go sourcing, I have such a bad problem with having man glasses on. If it doesn't have buttons or plug in, I usually don't pay it a lot of attention.
Right. Right.
And Teresa will go pick something up and she's making a deal on it. They're like, we'll take 300 for that. She's all excited. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you buy that? And then she'll look it up and show me and she'll be, this is why.
Yes. Well, we have a lot of similar stuff like that. I think I've said this before on some of our videos that we buy storage units a lot. And I know that you have bought in some storage units. And we were talking before we started recording that Tracy and I are still working on one of the units that we bought over a month ago. We bought 2 of them. And they were so packed, they were so jam-packed that we literally had to rent the units from the facility, which normally they don't let you do that. But the guy actually knew us. I don't know from where. I'm pretty sure we might have bought from that facility or bought from him before. And so he's like, yeah, you can go ahead and rent it out. So we rented out the both of them for the month. And then just yesterday, we finished out one and I had to rent the other one out. So it's adding to our cost of everything. But those units are just so big. And
if Teresa bought that unit and then showed me, I'd be like, I hate you.
Well, I found that the deeper we got, kind of the better the stuff was. The stuff we were going through yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, I got a bunch of like actual eBay stuff, which for me to say I'm going to do it on eBay, it's taken a lot nowadays. So we got some really good stuff.
It is for us too. We've kind of adopted the new high ticket mentality. Like I know a lot of people talk about, I don't want to list anything under $20. We're getting to the point where we're like, we still list lower priced items, but we're really trying hard to not list anything under $200.
Wow. So my gosh.
We want to pack 10 things a week and make the same amount instead of packing, 60 things a week for the same amount of money. So that's kind of the world we came from, was the high ticket e-commerce.
Right.
It's so much easier when you have to deal with 10 customers instead of 200.
I can imagine.
Oh, exactly. That must have been a huge change in how you're doing things and stuff. And this is our cat Jessie, by the way, who is the most disruptive cat that we do have. But yeah, that was one of the things that I was going to ask you about. You guys are relatively new to reselling, being that, the 3 to 4, but you are definitely established. That's one of the things that I know. Tracy and I have been doing this for close to about 30 years, just about now.
Coming up on 30 years.
Yeah. And for me, it's coming up on 20. I'm about 18 years in. But I've seen, oh my God, cat. Dang. If it's not the power going out, it's the cat. But what are some of the, I know that you've got this new channel going on, or not the new channel, you got your YouTube going on, which is definitely monetized. I don't know all the specifics of it on all that, and I'm not trying to pry. But
it's horrible.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But
it pays for our cell phones every month. So
there you go.
It's a start.
Yeah,
it's something, but I'll tell you what, the YouTube thing for us evolved over time. We really had high expectations about what we wanted from it, and it failed. But that's kind of the way I do business too. I go all in on something, and then if it fails, we sit down and we're like, what did we learn from it? What can we do with what we learned from it? Do we keep going? And I'm very quick to put something in the garbage can. And move forward with the lesson I learned to do something better or bigger. So we pivot a lot. And with YouTube, we pivoted, and now it pays our cell phones, and that's great. But we use it more as a social tool to make connections in the community.
Right.
And it has opened doors for us where we wouldn't have done a lot of the things we did if it wasn't for the connections we made through YouTube. So it is a tool, and it does help us in our business, just not the way we pictured it.
Yeah, that's very similar to us, as a matter of fact, because we weren't doing anything with videos. Yeah. And I think a lot of people already know, I didn't know nobody from nobody on YouTube. I didn't know there was a reselling community. Obviously, I knew that other people were reselling because of eBay and whatnot and everything like that. But I had no idea that there was a community out there that was basically saying, hey, come on, come on and meet up with all of these people and stuff, because that's one of the things we were going to talk about. You're relatively a new seller. You have this YouTube channel that's monetized. It does very well. You're very good, very good selling on eBay, obviously, getting to that higher ticket items. And not only that, but you're organizing meetups, and this will be the second year for Planes to Profit. Tell us about how that came about to say, hey, let's do a meetup.
Well, meetups is something that we had always done, even in our old e-commerce business. But we were going to a lot of, like, e-commerce is so much bigger than eBay reselling. It's such a massive space. So a lot of the meetups we were going to were, they were so much larger. There was 700-800 people at them to a couple thousand people at them. Tickets were $600 a ticket. Like, they were big events. And when we started going to the reseller events for eBay, they were 50 people, 100 people. They were much smaller and way cheaper, which was great.
Right.
And out of all the events we went to, there were certain things we liked and there were certain things we disliked. So we kind of wanted to do one where we took all the things we liked and get rid of all the things we disliked and just do our own, but in the Midwest, because all the events are Vegas, Florida, they're clear over on one coast or the other, where where the people are. Makes sense.
Right.
But we wanted to do one in the Midwest for all of us Midwest resellers, especially, so we didn't have to travel one coast or the other. So
we get to crash the Midwest.
We're crashing.
We're crashing the Midwest, guys.
Well, and a lot of the people that showed up in the first year were from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Like, we had people from all over come. So that's fine. But the Midwesterners didn't have to travel. And that was kind of the idea to begin with. And it went really well. We sold out last year. On our first year, we sold all the tickets out and we didn't lose money. Like, we
awesome.
Broke even last year. This year, the ticket prices went up a little bit because after we got done, we sat down with Alicia Ink Picker. She co-hosts with us.
Right.
And we kind of went through a list of, okay, this was our first event. What did we like? What didn't we like? And we fixed some things. So we had to raise the prices a little bit. One of the things we fixed was the swag bags, and the giveaways are going to be phenomenal this year.
Oh, I can't wait.
And we really kind of made it a better event. And we sold out. I think we sold out really fast this year. Like, we've been sold out for 2-3 months now.
Yeah.
This is our very professional podcast that we have going on right here.
It wouldn't be Jack's Treasures without a cat.
If we lock her out, she scratches on the door aggressively and disrupts that way too.
Yeah, she disrupted yesterday. We were doing our Whatnot show. She jumped up on my computer because I have a computer in front of me, and Tracy runs Whatnot shows from a computer at a desk across over here. Well, she's sitting up on my computer and decides that she's going to jump onto me from the computer. So the computer goes down, she lands on me. I'm trying to catch the computer because it's my laptop. So I'm catching that from hitting the floor. She drops down and just got a hold of me.
And we had 2 visitors in our Whatnot show. Our neighbors were coming over, kind of watching how we do some things because they're starting in on Whatnot. And
were you recording at the time?
We were live.
Oh man, that's got to be a good video.
I'm sure that it is, because I don't handle pain well.
No.
So it went. I know that the room count might have went up right after that because people were just saying, "Man, y'all got to see this. Y'all got to see this." But yeah, it's definitely fun.
Somebody real time to bleep it out.
Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't, because it was fun though. I mean, that's part of our excitement. I mean, I know that for you and Teresa have done some Whatnot shows. You were actually our featured new seller.
I saw it
on our first episode. Well, not a problem at all. We are trying to do this. One of the things, we're not a huge channel at all. We're not even really a big channel, considering what would be considered a big channel on Whatnot, but we're a growing channel, and that all started from a meetup, the Nashville.
You guys do really well over there. I like your shows. Your shows are always entertaining, and you guys, you make it look easy, and that drives me crazy. That really makes me angry.
Oh well, you don't see all of the stuff behind the scenes.
I know.
Tracy and I trying to set the show up. It's one of the pros and cons, because we do a pro and con of live reselling, and one of the cons of reselling is the amount of time that it takes. A lot of people will say that, oh, it's great to go live because you can sell the stuff so much faster. You can. If there's two different rules of thought, doing random pulls and or doing pre-listings, and we do a mixture of both. And we're finding that the mixture of both does result in higher prices in some instances. And in some cases, it's just like yesterday when we were doing our show, which was it was amazing. We were doing we got a bunch of video games on Peaches to Beaches, super cheap. I made a great deal with a lady. I ended up getting 192 video games, and nice. I paid like about
$80, I think.
Yeah, I paid $80, so I was less than 40 cents in each one of the, or around 40 cents in each one.
I would have even bought it then, and I don't buy video games.
Yeah, I normally it's hard to say. I try to shy away from them because I can get better video games at a consignment store that we go to called McKay's. Mm-hmm. But we ran the show yesterday, and this is one of the pivots that we did. We were doing random pulls where the stuff was selling, and it was selling at the prices that I wanted to sell, but it was taking forever because I had, hundreds of games. So I started lotting these games up, and I'm picking up stacks of 5 games, 10 games, and running them all and starting them all off at $1, which is going to be what your new platform, which we're going to talk about, is.
There's a stack of 5 video games on there right now, starting at $1.
So nice. There you go, right there. And every single one of them, the prices went up. There was only one of them that went for less than the amount that I had in my hand. So if I had 10 in my hand, it went over 10. If I had 7 in my hand, it went over 7. If I had 5, it went over 5. But one that we did, I had for 5, and it went for $3. I was like, that's fine with me. At the end of the day, though, what ended up happening is I took a show that would have lasted 2 hours of me trying to sell one disc at a time, and I limited it down to 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that would kill me. I've been a very long time poo-pooer of, and to steal a term from Steve and Donna at Happy Heart, I've been a long time poo-pooer of the live sales.
Yes.
Like for the longest, for 2 years, we were like, you guys are nuts. Like, I don't understand this business model. I don't get it. Like, who wants to be Walmart, but at dollar store prices? Like,
right.
Every bad con you could say about live selling, we've said,
right,
for the longest time. But at a certain point, being an entrepreneur, we had to actually step back and say, okay, we're being a little bit hypocritical because we're crapping on this business model, but we've never actually done enough research or tried it ourselves to give that opinion. So we did, and largely because of you guys, we did finally say, you know what?
Well, thank you.
Let's find out, and we'll go run one. So we did. We've run 5 now.
Yes,
and we've actually done pretty well on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we, would I consider it a business model that I would switch to as my business model? No, I would never do what you guys do. And I've told everybody that has ever asked me about this. If you think live selling is the easy way, you're crazy. I don't understand how you do the amount of work you do.
I think for me, I think back to when we had, how many items did you have on eBay? Like 8,000 or something?
I was closing in on 8,000.
And I had around 2,000 at that point. So we had 10,000 items and all of that stuff and just having to worry about it. Whereas now,
yes,
we can go out to a yard sale. We can buy those video games and they're gone.
Yeah.
And that's exactly that. I mean, you saying that right now, that's exactly what I love about live selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For where it does fit into our business model is we have an eBay shop with almost 5,000 items in it now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those items have been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if you saw them at a garage sale today, if I saw them at a garage sale we went out to this summer, I would probably buy them again. They're good items.
Yeah.
It's just for whatever reason, they're not great on eBay. Some of them are $2, $3, $4, $20 items.
Mm-hmm.
So for your overflow, for the stuff you're not going to list on eBay there, because not every item does well everywhere.
Yeah, right. We still do have eBay stores.
Yeah,
both of us still have
smaller.
eBay stores. They're just a lot smaller. We're actually doing, And again, this is the credit to you guys. We're going more of the high ticket items ourselves.
I'm looking at like 50 and up right now.
Yeah.
Is what I'm shooting for. And
that's much more attainable. It's way easier.
It's going to go on Whatnot. And I just have to detach my knowledge of the value of something versus what did I make on it?
Yep.
Yeah. And also, and you've mentioned
hard
this,
to do, by the way.
We've mentioned this together when Cory and I have been talking on the phone, that you don't get the highest dollar, especially when you're starting out. I mean, that's just a fact. That is just a fact. I can't sit here and say to you, I'm selling stuff for more money on Whatnot than I ever could on eBay, but I'm selling stuff more on Whatnot than I did on eBay of those smaller ticket items.
And occasionally,
I think this podcast, I think this podcast is a service to the community. And I'm not just saying that because I know you guys. I think the way you're presenting what you're just saying right now is the way people should have been presenting live selling from the beginning.
Yeah.
The rub we always had is the people that are out there shouting from the rooftops that live selling is the future of selling, and eBay's dying and the rest of it's garbage. And like live selling is where it's at. And if you're not doing that, you're going to fall behind. That's hogwash. There's always going to be a group of people there's every person, not just a group of people. If you want to buy a new ball joint for your car, you're not going to go on live selling in the hope that somebody's going to run one sometime. You're going to go search for it and buy it. So static selling will always be there. But I think what a lot of people miss and a lot of people don't think about is if you get into reselling, and I don't care how good a picker you are, absolutely 100% within 3 years, you're going to have an overflow pile that you're looking to donate, throw away, do something with, and it's all good items, but it's also money. It's all good money. And if you can live sell and you do build that tool, then you have a back door for your business that can make you money on that overflow. And why not utilize it?
Correct. Very much so. And the bigger that you get on the live selling platforms, no matter if it's Whatnot, the District, Jamble, Poshmark, eBay Live, any of those platforms, you have to build your audience. You have to build that those shows up. That you can't just start unless, of course, you're Paul the Philly Flipper or something like that, who has a huge following that he's bringing with him over to the show. But once you get to that following, then all of a sudden your money levels will start going up and your profits will start going up. If
you're a celebrity on somewhere, if you have a following to bring with you, you could do very well in live selling.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't, it's a bit more of a struggle, but sometimes, I mean, can you imagine owning a thrift shop right now and not be doing some kind of live selling or online selling? Like there's so many mom and pop thrift shops out there that just bring in, semi trucks full of glass to put on the shelves and then never move it. And they just have a packed store, but they keep buying. If they just had one person as an employee come in and run live shows every day, their inventory turnover would be incredible.
We would be guilty of that. We didn't own the thrift store, but we had an antique booth, and our antique booth was the back of the store. The owner,
it's the problem with an entrepreneur brain, and I've said this to Ken before too. If I had the charisma you guys do on live shows, I would find all the local mom and pop shops around me, and I would tell them, I'll come into your shop. I'll pick out 50 things and I'll run a live show and I get a commission, and I would just make a rotation once a week.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other business where you're getting paid to run those live shows and you don't even have to buy the inventory.
Right.
There's a lot of people on Whatnot that do that also.
Yeah.
They literally go live at flea markets. They go live at thrift stores.
At the bins.
At the bins. That would be Chris, Flip the World, Texas.
Flip the World,
yeah. He goes live right there at the bins. Of course,
I could do that.
I don't like the bins myself personally.
I don't like the people.
Well, that's the reason why I don't like the bins, because it's like I always equate it to a shark feeding frenzy, because growing up down in South Florida,
it's predatory.
It's
it's weird. Yeah, I will never throw elbows for a product to sell. Like I just don't do that.
The problem is I
There's
will.
so much
So.
stuff.
Tracy will. It's always the quiet ones that will.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff out there. It's not worth it to me. Like I can go into a place and throw elbows with people to fill a car, or I could go to garage sales and pick the scraps that they didn't want and
Definitely
still fill
what
the
we
car
prefer.
and do just as well.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
there's no reason to fight over the product. There's so much stuff. We're doing this at the level we're doing it at in South Dakota.
Yeah.
1 day a week. Like anybody could do this. There's no shortage of items. That's the
not.
easiest part of this job.
That was one of the main things that Tracy and I learned early on when we started buying storage units, is that there's always another storage unit. We didn't follow that at the beginning. When an auction came up, if we had any interest in it whatsoever, we bought it. So very, very quickly, our 800 square foot warehouse was full. And we couldn't even manage it because it is just Tracy and I. And I think for you, it's just you and Teresa also.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. So it gets very difficult when you do get that death pile just packing up for you. Now, let's talk about your new project that you got going on the district, which it surprised me. I will let you know that straight. I mean, I was sitting there going like, okay, when Cory and Ken, SSK Promo, they have a podcast called Unemployed for a Living. Used to be called something different, but somebody killed it.
It was Tracy.
Yes. No, they had another one called Reseller Clickbait Podcast, and we were the guest on their last live, and they decided to pivot, to change it a little bit. And which is amazing because they do really, really good stuff and their videos are really, really awesome. But knowing Cory and Ken, Cory was never the dollar sale person. Never. I remember one episode he said,
I am though, just in a different way than you think.
Ship a $4 item in a package and have to drive it to the post office.
Yep.
So let's hear about this.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with that. New district.
Yeah, the district, it's called the dollarauction.com, and we don't even consider it district. I mean, it's when we ran our e-commerce business, we didn't go around and tell people we run ourstore.com on Shopify. It's just the dollarauction.com. That's what we started.
Okay.
And it in Lincoln, in Nebraska, Steve and Donna have always had a Facebook dollar auction, and it's just a group where you go, like you take your overflow pile and you take the item out. You know, maybe you've got some Fenton glass, you post it on there. They can start bidding on it. The bids start at $1, and when the time runs out, whoever's got the highest bid just comes and gets it. And that's their overflow, just turns constantly. They never have to sit on stuff. They still have their eBay shop, and they do very well on eBay, but they always have that back door to just turn out that stuff, and they're not sitting on it all the time. And I've always been jealous of that. I wanted that so bad. And I tried to build one in our area, and there's like 15 people here. It doesn't work. So I've always been a little bit jealous of that. And when we started kind of brainstorming ideas for what we were going to do on district with our Midwest group here, that kind of came up, and I was like, that's it. We, like, everybody, as soon as we talked about it, was like, that's the one. So we jumped on it and we started one, and it's taken off way faster than we thought. Like, we're in the top set. We're above the top 75 marketplaces on district in 4 days.
Wow. That's amazing. So, we will have a link down there below in our description of checking it out. We are members.
Yeah, that's been amazing.
So
it's been a lot of fun.
How are you finding the back end of that working as far as operating a district? I've had a little twinge of an idea of one myself that would be uber specialized, and I just don't know if it would be worth the hassle.
As far as an e-commerce platform, it's primitive. Like, I think that's the best word for it. It's not the most evolved e-commerce platform. There's very little options. There's very little settings. There's not a lot of stuff you can do to manage it. I mean, there's like 4 things an admin can do that a normal user can't do. Okay. So it's very basic. There's not a lot to it, but it lets us have the auction place where everything has to be an auction. It has to start at $1. And it lets us do the live selling auctions, which also everything has started at $1. And that's really our only criteria for the marketplace we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of fit the bill. So we went that direction. And so far it's been good. We've had a live show that wasn't even supposed to be selling in, but people were like, run that item, because I was just listing items on the show
Right.
and answering questions about the new platform.
Okay.
But as I was listing stuff, we had people saying, run that. So I was like, oh, okay, run it. But we do have a raid train coming up for our first official live selling on there.
Yeah.
And that'll be good. We've got a bunch of items set aside for that. And yeah, it's just one, there's amazing deals on there. I mean, I've got those Jack's Pacific wrestlers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a bundle of those on there. There's like 15 wrestlers in there. $1 start.
Oh, wow.
Somebody's going to steal that.
Go put a bid in.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting that up pretty soon.
There's a lot of amazing deals on there.
Well, we are actually looking forward to doing our first show on there.
I'm looking forward to you doing it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have the stock for it. There's absolutely zero doubt on that, just with the storage unit buys that we did. Are you going to be doing any different sourcing? Because I know one time I did talk to you and you said that you were not going to source for whatnot. Now, with this new platform, are you thinking about, or is that still something that you're like?
I will never source for a live sale.
Okay.
I will never source for something I intend to start at $1. It just doesn't make sense to me in the direction we're going, because we are in the next 2-3 years, we are planning to have our eBay store be high ticket. Like it's going to be that at a minimum $100 and above. Like we're going that direction because we're trying to do everything we can to buy our time back.
Yes, I love that saying.
I don't care a lot about the money. If I have enough money to pay my bills and not have to worry about can I go to Burger King this week, or can I take a trip to see a friend?
Right.
Beyond that, I want my time back. So we're going in the high ticket direction. We want to handle less customers, less items. But we will always in this business have overflow. And we needed a way to process that out without just giving it away so that it could buy some of our time back. So yeah, I will never source for a live sale. That's just it's not in my nature. It's not something I could do intentionally.
Yeah, and I know that you and Teresa have bought storage units in the past. Do you plan on buying any more?
Yeah. Yep. We actually we looked at a couple. We put bids in on a couple last week, and we just set a hard limit. This is what we're willing to spend for what we see, and it went beyond that, so we let them go.
Right.
Yeah,
and there would have been a ton of dollar auction stuff in there. I know that.
That's one of the things that I was just about to mention, is that it's a natural thing when you buy storage units that you're going to have those dollar start items. And it has helped Tracy and I and ours, because we've been, buying units for about 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
It does
it helps to
it makes it
that.
easier to buy that unit, knowing that I'm not going to have to take 20 totes to the Goodwill.
Right.
Exactly.
It makes the decision to pull the trigger on a unit so much easier, because you know where everything's going. There's going to be garbage that's full of rat poop. There's going to be good eBay stuff. And, beyond that, you're going to have your overflow. And now you know where that's going. And that was always the biggest issue with us, is what do we do with all this stuff that's not going on eBay?
I'm looking at a table full of stuff that we're going to run tonight. And I see maybe 2 things that I would have gotten even interested in putting on eBay, but the rest of the stuff we would have looked at and been like, well, that's good. Somebody wants that. Would have stuck in a box. It would have got shoved to the back, and it would have been a death pile. But now we're going to run it. We're going to see if anyone wants it. And then we can feel good about moving it out if nobody does.
Yep. Yeah. And
it's for us. I mean, it's unrelatable for some people. Like, what's the big deal? You got to box it up and take it to donate it. It's not a big deal if you have a Goodwill or a thrift store within 10 minutes of your house. But when you have to drive an hour both ways to go drop that stuff off, it's an expense, and it's a time expense and a monetary expense.
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
not, I mean, we're way more likely to put it in the middle of the driveway and pour diesel on it than we are to drive it an hour, a 2-hour trip to go donate something. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So this makes the decision easier.
Well, for us, it's really, really difficult, because I'm somebody that whenever I look at an item, I always think about, well, somebody bought that item at one time. The cat's in my cord. That somebody bought that item at one time. So at one time, at one point, somewhere in that item's existence, it had value to somebody.
You're like Teresa.
Yeah, it's like
Teresa will pick a rock out of the driveway and she'll be like, "This is pretty. Somebody will want it." Like she sees a value in everything.
I sold a rock,
and I am very
yes,
much.
you did.
I'm very much online with sometimes poop is just poop. Like sometimes shit's just shit, and it can go away. I'm very comfortable throwing stuff away. Teresa sees value in everything. Not like I can make money. Like she's not greedy. She sees value in everything. She'll hoard it. She'll pack it up and keep it. And I'm not that way. I'll throw it away.
Tracy's that way for sure. She's definitely more of the one. And when we first got married and I had that store up to about 8,000 items, every single month we would have a discussion about what we're going to do with those shows. You know, we do our shipping. Of course, everybody does their shipping. So we'll wake up and the first thing we're doing is we talk about our shipping, and Tracy will load her 6 items in these big boxes. And, you know, she'll tell me, oh yeah, this sold for 75, this sold for 35, this sold for, 25, this sold for 19. And I'm sitting there doing my 30 items and they don't even add up to one of hers. Oh yeah, this sold for $1.95. This sold for $2.62, And so very gradually she has gotten rid of the shit. She just hasn't gotten rid of me yet, which is a miracle. That's how we started today, that she hasn't gotten rid of me yet. But
we do make an exception for low dollar items when, like, if we find a lot of something that we can get for a decent price, and we know that we spend $100 on it, but we can make 1,000 parting it out.
Oh, yeah.
We will part out $5, $10 things and sell them individually. Like that low dollar sales, we don't mind doing because it was a big lot. And like we know we're going to make our money in the first 5, 10 sales.
That's amazing. So we have a meetup that's coming up, Planes to Profit. That is in a week. Well, when this releases, it'll be in 5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
5 days, because we're going to release it on a Sunday.
We are super excited about the whole trip.
Yeah, we are going to Omaha, Nebraska, which Tracy actually lived in Nebraska for a while. I have never been to Nebraska, so it's going to be super exciting for me because I like to travel. I love to go to places. So we're literally leaving on Tuesday. And we're going to Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to spend the night in Louisville, Kentucky, where the Churchill Downs Kentucky Derby is. We're staying there. And then we're going to be doing another meetup, because that's one of the things that I love about this community and doing meetups is meeting these people and getting to know the differences. You were talking about...
There's a lot of them.
Yes. You were talking about the ones that buy out estate sales at the end. Mike,
we've done that before.
Yeah, I just bought the estate sale out myself, but for them, they get paid to do it. And I was like, damn, that's something I want to do there. I want somebody go ahead and pay me and I'll clear out your stuff. And
Happy Heart Treasures do clean outs like that, and they do pretty well on it. I think they just did one this morning.
Oh, wow.
I cannot wait to meet them. That's one of the ones that we're looking forward to. And of course, meeting you and Teresa, that's a given that I just cannot wait to meet with you guys.
We'll try not to let you down.
You cannot let me down. That's one of the things for me that, and Tracy knows, I get really bad anxieties when I'm meeting people, and it literally gets me sick because I'm getting so nervous. I'm like, man, I hope people don't think or just think badly of me because of me. This is how I am. Yeah. Thank you, babe. But we met one of our OG buyers from Whatnot.
Oh, that's right. I heard that.
Peaches to Beaches. And I literally think he was more excited to meet us than I imagined. I was like, oh, he's just going to come and,
We had a 3-hour meal, and I think it could have went 8 hours if he didn't have to get home before dark.
Yeah, he drove an hour and 20 minutes to do a meetup with us. And before we went into the restaurant, I'm like, Tracy, I just remembered something. I have no idea what he looks like. None. He knows me because of whatnot, but I have no idea what he looks like. So we were getting out of the car, and I says, well, let's go ahead and go on in and see. I get out of the car, and the first thing I heard was Jack's Treasures. And I was like, oh my gosh, so it's fun, but it's nerve-wracking.
You just hold your hat up and say, starting at $1, and he'll find you.
Yes. Which, I got to plug this because, it's our podcast, so I get to do that, right?
You do.
Okay. Tonight, which this is coming out on Sunday, tonight, we are doing a show. It's going to be 20 minutes, and we're going to try to sell $1,000 in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes?
Mm-hmm. The last 2 weeks ago, we did the same thing, and we weren't even trying for 1,000. We were trying to do 500, and we did 944. And so I was like, okay, we're going to try to step it up. And
so I need to be picking your brain at Planes to Profit, because we're like having a party after an hour-long show when we sell $150 worth of items, and we're like, you guys are cracking out $1,000 show in 20 minutes. I'm off this podcast. How do you shut this off?
It's going to be, even if we did 1,000, we still wouldn't be the top person that's on this raid train. That's the only reason why that we're going to be able to do that, because it's one of the things about with Whatnot has it's the pros and the cons, as we've talked about. One of the
whole different community, though. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's definitely it. One of the pros is when you get into one of those communities that you have the help of a larger seller that is pushing you and helping you along. You can do this. One of the sellers on it this past weekend sold $1,441 in 20 minutes. And I was like, that's insane. My gosh. And he was in our show.
That's something that I would have a lot of trouble taking advantage. I actually have a t-shirt that says does not play well with others. Like, I can work in small groups, and I enjoy people. Like, I actually do enjoy working with other people in small groups. I just don't enjoy a lot of the community aspect sometimes, because it does get overwhelming, and you're always kind of under pressure to watch what you say. And it's almost like you can't be yourself, because you're going to make half the group angry. And ourselves in South Dakota, we're a little bit like, sometimes we say bad words, like we curse a little. And so it's very hard working in a large community. We're used to working in small little groups. So that part of it is difficult for me. Not so much Teresa. She could jump into any community. Right. She's good at it. She loves people. So we balance each other out. But yeah, if I'm in there, it's only a matter of time before we say something silly that somebody doesn't like.
We've been very lucky. We've found a community that has embraced us in our nuttiness.
Yeah.
It's funny. So many people that we kind of associate with, they're in there selling women's clothing. And it's
hard to kick out the life of the party.
Invite us into their raid trains, and we're there with our video games and our That's What She Said and all that. And they're selling women's clothes, but they like a little bit nuttiness, a little something different.
That's
we don't do nutty very well. like we're so monotone. That's one of the things. Like, when I started the YouTube channel, I started it by myself, and nobody watched, because I'm very monotone. I'm not. Like, I don't have a lot of levels in my speaking. So I wouldn't make a very entertaining, charismatic person on a screen by myself. So I have to have something to balance that out.
I will share you some of my like squeaks and shrieks, if that would help.
I need that. Like, I could just hit a button like every 3 minutes and just scare the crap out of me.
There's definitely rules of thought. The good thing for me is, and I didn't realize it until I got in front of the camera, but being a teacher, I know that your daughter Hannah is going to school to be a teacher. She's getting close, correct?
She's getting ready. I think in the next couple of weeks she'll take her certification exam. So she's finishing up.
Yep.
That is awesome. But teachers are natural performers.
Yeah,
we don't have that great knowledge that people will think. Like, I didn't know everything about world history. I was a social studies teacher. I don't know everything about Georgia history or world history or whatever it may be, but I had to teach it. So in order to make up for the fact that I'm doing all of this very dry stuff that the state has me do, I have to perform in order to get the kids' attention. That just was a natural transition to reselling, but I could not do that on static listings on eBay. It was
So
very,
we've
very
done
difficult.
online. I've actually done online teaching before. Like
Mhm.
we ran courses, but
Yeah.
I was teaching stuff like advanced analytics for marketing.
Mhm.
And here's a pro tip for anybody that's really boring and monotone like me. Teach those people because none of them have a personality and they don't care if you're dry. Like they're all very analytical. Like they want that dry, high level content. They're
Right.
not looking to be entertained. Matter of fact, crack a joke and they will leave. They don't want it. Like that's the crowd I can bring in.
That is awesome though. That is awesome. See, everybody though has that niche or
They do.
niche,
They have,
whatever you
yeah,
want to
everybody
call it.
has a tribe.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that you and Teresa are together, and we've talked about this, Tracy and I have talked about this, how we are in the same room or same vicinity of each other for a
Mhm.
good probably 22 hours out of a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
And very little do we have those conversations um, that we have. But you have to find that one person. Me and my first wife would have never been able to do this ever.
Yeah.
And I know I can't speak for you though.
Well, I think
You
Teresa's still looking for that person. I know we spend pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week together. We
yeah.
run the escape room together. I do the back end stuff where people can't come back there, like run the computers and stuff.
Mhm.
And I'll start the rooms for her, but she does all the people work. But we're pretty much together 24/7, 365.
Yep.
Yep.
Teresa will occasionally need that break where I'm going to go see the grandkids today. You go ahead and stay home and do your editing. But I don't ever get that. Like I'm like, "Oh, you're leaving? Who's going to make lunch?"
For us, Tracy will say, do you want to drop me off? Like if I have to go to the dump from the
Mhm.
storage unit, she goes, well, do you want me to drop you off the house and I'll work on listing something or whatever it may be. And I'm like, I almost feel bad when I said, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll drop you off and everything like that, because it's like, she wants to be there, but she knows that when we get to the dump, she'll be like, "Do you need help dumping this stuff?" I'm like, "No, I got that. I don't want you out in the smell of the dump because of the Georgia heat, because it gets worse when it gets really,
I
really
can
hot."
imagine.
It's just
But
me playing on my phone for 2 hours versus
yeah,
getting some work done.
but we still do it. We still just enjoy
Yeah,
doing
we're
that.
having
And
that partner, like the people that do this on their own, just the one like sole person doing it.
yeah,
I've got a ton of respect for them because it's a ton of
I do
work.
too.
Yep.
And
Especially to do a live
having,
reselling too.
yeah, having that other person, like we're codependent at a level that's probably not even healthy, but we've been married for 28 years. It is what it is.
I thought it was
So
29 that you just had your anniversary.
no, it'd be, I'll ask Teresa. I think it's 28. We just had the 28th anniversary, I believe.
Oh yeah. I just remember because we were talking about Tracy and I's anniversary is going to be spent at
In
right
Omaha.
before in Omaha
Yeah.
Yep.
is
Well,
our
nice.
anniversary. So it's a lot of stuff. All right, well, let's go ahead and we're going to do our showcase. We're going to
Yes.
showcase a couple of sellers that are on Whatnot. Now, we are looking for sellers on other platforms. We're going to talk about people on Jamble, the District, some of the other platforms on the District. The District, by the way, is an umbrella type of
Yeah.
a platform where you can go
I
in there
think
and
of it like
find different
Shopify.
things.
You could build your website on Shopify, but
Yeah.
it's, it's your website. It's just built on Shopify, kind of like a WordPress site. That's what
Right.
District is.
Yeah, so we're going to look for some of them. We are now. Have you ever applied to sell live on eBay?
I can't even find the button that says anything
It
about
was
lives on
hard to
eBay.
find it.
It
Like
was
I've looked a
difficult.
couple of times. I don't even see anything about it. Like if they want people doing it, they're being very quiet about it.
Agreed.
We've applied, but we haven't heard back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we applied.
That speaks volumes.
It will, that along with the fact that one of the questions that they ask is how large is your YouTube presence? How large is your media presence? And I think they're really looking for those big time YouTubers to do the selling
I
that's
don't think that's what they
on
meant.
eBay. You don't think so?
You could tell them at least one of them's a chubby guy.
Well, that would be me
They
too.
just like selling to big fellas.
I think you're right. But for Whatnot, we're going to showcase 3 sellers. We try to showcase every episode. We're going to showcase 3 sellers, and Ken's going to be mad at me again because we were both in the show. Ken's SSK promo, Ken versus 10, where I was dogged out because I didn't mention Ken in our first episode, and he actually named the podcast. But the first seller that we're going to talk about is a new seller, and her name is Brandy's Bargains. Now, Brandy's Bargains, I don't know if have you ever seen Brandy's Bargains?
I'm so disconnected. Teresa would probably have seen it. Teresa's more of a buyer on there than I am.
Mm-hmm.
She's been really following this. I don't want to interrupt the thing, but she's been really following this mom and her daughter that sell on there, and it's kind of the daughter that does all the selling. And she's been buying a lot from them, and she really likes that. They sent us a card with the last package. I should have brought it in here with me, but
yeah,
definitely.
That girl, she's like, I don't know, maybe 16. She's just crushing it on there. She's doing so good, and she's selling really good stuff. By the way, in your show, you were selling really good stuff. That camera that we bought from you, one of the 3, listed for over $100 by itself.
That's
awesome. That is
Teresa
awesome.
ordered the batteries and charger for it, got it working, and it was a great camera.
Incredible.
I'm glad. I think I have another one in tonight's
no,
show.
we have an ancient camera in tonight's show.
There you go.
Nice. That's one of them you got to wind up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Brandy's Bargains is also a mother and a daughter. They were both in our show yesterday. Well, they weren't in the show, but they were in behind the scenes with us yesterday. And you know how some people will say, "Oh, they're my neighbor because they're in the same town."
Yep.
These 2, Brandy's Bargains, are literally our neighbors.
Yeah.
They live right next door to us. They started reselling about a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
On Whatnot, yeah.
On Whatnot. They buy storage units. So there'll be a link down there below to Brandy's Bargains, and they are new sellers. So you'll want to give them a follow or check them out because she has some really, really good stuff.
That's kind of cool that you have a neighbor doing the same thing you are.
Know.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbors always think I'm crazy.
Our established or growing seller this week is Michigan Grail Seekers, which I don't even know how we met them. I just saw them in our show a couple of times, saw the name, and then we rated them just out of the blue. We saw their name come up. We rated them, and then we rated them again, like in the same day. And then after that, they've been coming to our shows. We've been going to their shows. They are based in Michigan, and it's a husband and wife team. It's Steve and Betsy, and they love horses. They love anything like kind of country themed, Western themed.
Yeah.
And they go all out for the raid trains they're on. They do the costumes. They're awesome. They're kind of kindred spirits to us in a way, but
yeah, we do that too. We definitely, I want to try to give, when we're asked to be on raid trains, and by the way, we don't actually actively seek out raid trains anymore. We did when we started doing raid trains. We were actively seeking them. Now people are reaching out to us.
And that's so awesome.
And because of that, we really try to put our all into the raid trains, whatever the raid train theme might be or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So
you gotta have some responsibility then.
Yeah.
It's fun. That's one of the things about live selling. That's one of the pros of live selling. Live selling is actually fun selling.
I will say if you're selling on one of these live platforms and they have that ability to raid someone, use it, because as a new seller, when we were on there, the first couple of times we had somebody raid into us, it was only 10, 15 people. It wasn't that big of a deal. To us, it was the world. It meant no sales to actually having some sales. Like to a new seller, if you could raid somebody and you raid somebody having a low viewer count show, you've changed their whole day.
Oh yeah.
Like that's better than buying somebody, like paying for somebody's Big Mac at McDonald's. That's so much better.
We try to do it about 50-50. We'll try to, about half the time we try to raid someone small, low room count and give them a boost. And then about half the time we'll try to raid someone a little bigger than us. And that gives us a boost. So it's a dual-edged thing. And we do try to split that about 50-50.
Yeah, we definitely do that.
It's an amazing feeling as a small seller to have somebody raid your show.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes,
like
yes.
It's
no doubt.
Crazy.
Even a medium-sized seller, when we get a raid from like our next seller, who you may be familiar with, our next seller, it is Jen of Jen's Multiverse.
I've heard the name.
Jen is an amazing seller on Whatnot. She did start out as an eBay seller and got onto Whatnot, and then basically has now grown to the point where she has no eBay presence. She is 100% on Whatnot. She has been a guest on Whatnot support, which that means that basically Whatnot is recognizing her as a larger seller with a premier status, with no complaints or problems or anything like that. So we're gonna
give somebody like that props, even if you don't like it. You got to give somebody like that props, because that's an insane amount of work. I don't ever want to work that hard. Like I said, I'm so trying to buy my time back. She's got to be putting in crazy hours.
I would imagine so, because to be a premier seller on Whatnot, you have to sell $50,000 in 3 months.
Yep.
And the closest that we've come is what, 18?
Yeah.
About 18,000 in 3 months. So
that's a lot of work.
It is, but there's a lot of people that are doing it. So there's a lot of people that have gotten.
That's a real hustle.
It is.
I'm gonna shout out. Jen has a raid train coming up next month where we're shipping eggs to one another as a challenge to our shipping skills.
Yes,
I like that skill. I'll ship you a dozen loose in a box.
We have the unfortunate honor of shipping an egg to Ken at SSK Promo and hoping that it arrives safely.
Well, it'll arrive safely, but I don't know if Ken's going to treat it safely because they have to open up the box when they get it on the raid train live. Yeah. So he's going to buy it like a $1 item from us, and we're going to ship him an egg in a box. And so he's going to get it. He's going to know exactly what it is. And I could just see Ken now picking this up and shaking it and everything.
I wouldn't worry about it. I know you guys pack it. I had you send me brass duck heads and glass in the same box, and everything got here fine.
I know. And it was also right after I watched your video where Teresa was complaining about people hacking, and I was like, no, I'm overpacking the hell out of this one.
No, you packed it well. Everything got here safe. Nothing was broken. And that was a box that would have made me nervous. And I'm notoriously an overpacker. We have a bubble machine to make our own bubble.
Oh my God.
Everything has 3 inches of air space around it. Like nothing touches. And that package would have made me think twice. Just because of the heavy brass. There was a couple of glass. There was 2 glass cups with those fine little porcelain handles on them. Like everything got here.
Thank goodness too, because that did come from like Atlanta to South Dakota. So at least it didn't have to go to like Alaska or something like that. But so those are our 3 sellers for this time that we're showcasing. Again, they are Brandy's Bargains, and we'll link down below.
Michigan Grail Seekers, and Jen's Multiverse. And I like to close out our shows with something that's new, like what's new on Whatnot. And today's is a little bit on the what would you say? Controversial.
It's a little bit on the controversial side. Okay. A lot of people have been talking, especially on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, about the status of one of the largest sellers on Whatnot, and that was Nicole State. Nicole State, over this past week.
I know a little something about this lady.
Yes.
We thought you might.
We thought you might. She
Tricky Nikki.
We did. we didn't do that because I know your story. You're more than free to welcome to explain it, but we were just going to say how she has been banned from Whatnot for violating their terms of service of Whatnot. I will say that it takes a lot to get banned from
She
Whatnot.
violated my terms of service.
Well, I will let you definitely talk about your experience.
There's not a lot of talk. I mean,
with
she did something that is probably the worst thing you can do on a platform where you have to share that platform's reputation with every other seller.
Mhm.
And it doesn't bother me as a buyer that much, but basically what happened is we ordered something and she just didn't ship it. She just took the money because she has the
Mhm.
immediate payouts. She printed the label and she just kept the item. She didn't ship it at all. And
If
we're
she
not
had
talking
that,
about
yeah.
it didn't show up in a week. It didn't show up in 2 weeks. It didn't show up in 3 weeks. And then when we contacted her, they just ghosted us and wouldn't talk to us. And then eventually we got to talk to one of her staff members who, in essence, just told us we were harassing them and kick rocks. Like it was a very, and as a buyer, I was like, you're an asshat. Like, I don't like you. And I'm fine. It was $16. I'll dispute it. I'm going to get my money back. So we were over it.
So
The
Whatnot
problem
did
with
take
that
care
is,
of you, though, right?
oh yeah, Whatnot took care of us. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
If you
Okay.
complained, here's the problem with that though. A lot of people buying on Whatnot are buying from 12 different shows. They're buying impulsively.
They
Mhm.
They
forget
don't
what
know
they've
what
ordered.
they bought. So
Yeah.
they never even know that it didn't show up, and she's just keeping that money.
Especially if it's random pulls too.
Yes. So you have a lot of people. I've bought stuff on Whatnot, and then stuff arrived at my house. And I'm like, I don't even remember buying this. That's the type
You're
of
not
buying
allowed to
it is
talk.
sometimes.
You're not allowed to talk. Okay. You can't say a thing. Say
But the
nothing.
problem I have with what she did with us is it ruins the reputation for all the people selling
It
on
does.
that platform
Absolutely.
that are honest. And it's kind of like eBay. When we hear of a bad eBay buyer doing stuff, I'm offended. I don't like it because I sell on that platform and you're ruining that platform's reputation for me. And I'm a good
Correct.
seller. So
Yes.
that is what makes me so mad about what she was doing. And she was doing it at scale,
And
allegedly, I guess.
She's
But
been
maybe
around
not
for
allegedly
years.
because she got banned off. You don't get banned for allegedly doing something. I know she did it to me, so it wasn't allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tricky Nikki, I hope you land on your ass somewhere, not on Whatnot.
Well, actually, she has. She is now
selling on Poshmark
she's
Live.
selling on Poshmark Live. So
don't buy.
Good luck.
This is the bad part too, because we're new on Whatnot. You guys
Yes.
know we're new on Whatnot.
Right.
Yes.
We got in there. We were completely unsuspecting. We were trying to support the platform. We were just browsing shows.
And by the
happened
way,
to land in
you
this
got
lady's
into
show.
it already with something to say, Whatnot is not something that I'm truly excited about, but let me go ahead and experience this.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we were literally like on the fence about it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not totally sold on the Whatnot platform or live selling at that point. We're just kind of browsing. We've done 3 or 4 shows at that point. We're looking around to see, buy and support some of the community. We land in this lady's show. We find something that's interesting to us just to own, not to resell.
Mm-hmm.
We paid $16 for it. And then you have something like that happen. And we have not run a live show since that day. We've not run one live show since then. Now we have some coming up on the dollarauction.com on our own platform where we can control the experience, but we've not run a single show since then. And imagine how many, if she's ripped off that many people, imagine how many other people are doing the same thing. Like, I'm done. I'm not running anything on Whatnot again. That's horrible for that platform.
That is part of the biggest cons to me about live selling, and it is very prevalent in a lot of the live selling networks. So I guess we could put down Nicole as not being somebody on the dollar start auction.
Oh, I hope she applies.
Maybe when she's kicked off Poshmark Live, that'll be her next stop.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a public banning video the moment her application comes in. Yes,
I've heard that they're getting a lot of views because I had noticed right away that there were a lot of YouTubers that were throwing her name in the titles of theirs.
She will not be.
We thought about doing a video. We actually, this all happened right before she got banned. We literally reported her and asked for our refund, and we reported her to Whatnot like 10 minutes
I remember you were talking to him the day that happened.
And
y'all were talking on the phone, and I'm watching
up,
on Instagram all the drama unfolding.
Then her account came up as suspended like 10 minutes after we reported her. Wow. And then it was like 2 days later, it came up as just gone. It was gone. Because Teresa kept checking the account to make sure. Because when it came back, she wanted to leave a review on the account.
Right.
And she never had the chance because it never came back, which is, we thought about doing a video on it. We were like, that's not our channel. We don't do the drama on our channel. Right. We just put our heads down and we do our own thing. And that's our channel. We don't really do that. Now, we don't do the drama. We did the whole Transformer segment. Like the series.
Now, I did actually enjoy that because to me, it was an eye opener. And it let people know that, hey, if you get scammed, you have a recourse and to use it.
And that's kind of why we did it, because when it happened, we saw it as an opportunity when it happened to do the right thing, what people should do if that happens to you. But we had so many people telling us, you're an idiot. You just got ripped off. Just deal with it. Let it go. And I'm like, if that's the way a lot of people think, that's horrible. That's horrible business.
It gives the scammers, you don't just let it go. It gives the scammers validation to do what they're doing.
Yes.
So
we wanted to do it as a series just to show people that if this does happen to you, there is recourse. Like there is some steps you could take. You might not win, but there are some steps you can take. And at the very least, you're going to make their lives miserable and uncertain for a little while.
Yeah, make them think twice about doing something like that. So you're protecting, in my opinion, you're protecting the community. And those videos were amazing for doing community support, because that's one of the reasons. That's kind of
the idea behind them.
Yeah.
Our podcast.
That was the idea behind them.
Well,
because we didn't care if we won or lost. We just wanted to show people that there are steps you can take. You don't have to just take $1,000 loss and be like, oh, I'm stupid today.
Yeah.
You can do something about it.
Yeah, I think everybody is guilty of making bad buys, but a bad buy is different than one that you literally are getting scammed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was 100%.
That's not a bad buy. That's just literally you got scammed. So,
if I do something stupid and it hurts me financially, that's on me. If someone intentionally takes advantage of me through being just a shyster, that's on them, and I don't have to take that.
Exactly. Well, we try not to bring the drama in ours, unfortunately, with us focusing on reselling, on live selling.
You brought it in.
No, well, I did, but I mentioned it last week that there is drama in live selling, because live selling is a social platform, so it's going to be there. I'm not trying to, and they won't be in the title that we're going to be doing anything like that. So, but yes, that is something that is new, because we try to talk about new things that have happened and things like that. Cory, thank you so much for coming and agreeing to come on a podcast, second episode with our 5 or 6 watchers.
I think you should title and thumbnail this one, Nicole State's biggest fan came on our podcast. I think you should do that. You want to launch this podcast that gets abused.
Don't tempt me.
Do it.
That might do it. But again,
100%, Cory, I would do it.
Well, Tracy's thinking about it now, and she's going to be doing more of the editing, which it's funny because we're not going to do a lot of editing with these. Hopefully we won't have to, because the power has stayed on. Thank goodness. We just had to worry about the cat. But again, Cory, can't wait to meet you. About 5 days from when this is released, and about a week from today, we're going to get together, just have a good time. I know you're going to be busy, because I know how hosting these events, everybody's going to be trying to spend the time with you. I hope so, because I'm really looking forward to meeting you and Teresa. It should be a good time. That's Plains Profit again. Yeah, the party bus. So, Cory, got anything? What does Ken say? Got anything for the people?
I apologize for the cursing today. And Nikki, no, we can't be friends. And check this podcast out. It's going to be good. I think this is much needed in the community, the other side of the story. And even though I'm not a huge live selling fan, I do think this is a tool that people should learn. So I'm glad you guys are doing this.
I look forward to maybe having you back, a few months down the road, and hear more of your experiences with running the district.
Yes.
I think that would be a very interesting thing. Once you have that experience under your belt, we would like to hear more about that.
Be happy to anytime.
And we have better equipment.
Yes, more better equipment.
Cory has definitely heard about our equipment issues. Not that kind of equipment. The technical type.
Well,
stuff.
I have something that you get to take home from Planes to Profit with you that's
awesome.
going to help your equipment problem. Not that equipment.
Little blue pill.
Oh my God.
I guess on that positive note, we're going to end this one. Thanks again, everybody.
Bye.
Like, share, and subscribe.